Yeah, it was okay back then. Now, absolutely not. And it's funny you said that about the whole. You're bringing up the liquor thing. I was looking at articles. I think 2 weeks back, a bunch of restaurants in New Jersey got busted for serving bottom shelf liquor in top shelf bottles, like a bunch of them.
Yeah. I was talking to a restaurant owner who owns several restaurants in DFW, and it was like they cooked us an amazing seafood and steak meal. It was lobster and steak that they serve at the restaurants. And side note, it was just a funny side note that I thought they're like, yeah, after we get home, we just eat cereal and microwavable meals because they're so tired of cooking, even though all day they're serving this amazing food. But what they were saying is that you can get away with saying your food is grass fed or organic or all that stuff, and it's not because it's so difficult to check. And I hope nobody who owns a restaurant is thinking of doing that. That's really unethical. But they can get away with it. But the alcohol board is actually very strict, and it's very dangerous because you'll get your license taken away and never comes back.
It's I never thought about how easy it is to game, the food part. You could just say grass fed, grain finished steak, and how's anybody? Unless you just all you eat is steak and you just know the taste better than
I don't
anybody in the
even
world.
know. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
like
think
it.
you can know.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of paper trail, like prove this is from this farm, and like it's a tough system. And I hope that we as a society can figure that out because I would rather eat the grass-fed organic steak than the random other stuff.
On
um,
a transitioning, but staying within the topic, I have a question for you. Dmitri has a marketing agency, Big Life Marketing. Highly recommend it. Not just 'cause I work with them because you want, it's just highly recommend it. But one of the unique things about your agency is you're not really, it's like you're an agency, but an agency masked as a consulting business. Going back to customers think they need marketing and they work with you and they find out that they need a business consultation, right? That's kind of what
yes,
ends up happening here with your company. So as a result, you don't just help with marketing, you help with all the stuff happening on the back end, right? You don't charge enough. And so then as my thing to you is when I come in as a copywriter, just on the copywriting end, I'm not talking about what people want. I'm looking at what's causing them pain. What are they trying to run away from? What keeps them up at night? All the pain points. So you, Dimitri, when you're helping your customers and you're helping their overall business, how do you go about addressing or uncovering their pain points and what they don't like versus what they're telling you they want?
it's so funny that you mentioned this because just today I had a meeting with a client who was asking me a very specific question that was related to data. It's like, can you show X over this period of time? And like, okay, that's a simple request. And I think if you're an agency that even does that, you would just fulfill their request. And what I do, I think that's different, is that I say, "Oh, you asked me this question, but why did you ask me this question? What is it that you want to show or prove with this answer?" And it just uncovered this whole thing related to do with related to financing and inventory, and even that has a deeper uh, evolution to it. But at least taking one step forward is critical because then it changed the whole context of what they want. And the specific question that they ask is relevant, but not nearly what I think that they need. So now I'm going to be researching something quite different from what they requested. So yeah, and that's learning more about what the customer wants. And I think a lot of customers, and if you guys are running agencies or you have any business, your customer sometimes just communicates to you based on what they expect your type of business to be able to do. Like if you came to a restaurant, and if you came up to McDonald's and ordered a medium rare steak, that would be insane because that's not what they do. But if you but Like if you come to a really fancy restaurant, depending on the restaurant, some chefs are kind of crazy and they're like, you only can have this one way, the way I do it. But if you come to a really fancy restaurant where stuff is expensive, you can literally order whatever it is that you want, regardless of the menu. You don't even need a menu. You just say, give me this, this, and that, and they'll make it for you. So I think teaching your customers what you can provide for them help you understand what it is that their desires are.
You just dropped some gold there that I will be taking, and it was timely for my week as well. We have a company who hired a marketing manager, and she is very green. But as a marketing manager, she needs to prove her worth, right? She needs to prove why they gave her this job. So she watches YouTube and comes to me with very green questions, but very aggressive on getting answers. And stuff doesn't even matter, but she needs to prove her worth. Anyways, she asked me for this report on what are the keywords we're going after and what is the CPC on them. And I think that, keywords will be irrelevant here soon enough. And we run our ads a bit different to where we're using Google to kind of tell us what's going on versus any which way. My point here is what I got from that is instead of like responding to her and giving her this report that's going to take my assistant a bunch of time to, or some time to do, I could have been like, okay, yeah, we can do that, but why do you want that report? What are you looking to learn? So I think you dropped some gold in, meeting the customer's need by saying yes, okay, but then why? It's that whole going 4 or 5 layers deep with the word why. And I think that if you own an agency and what Dmitri just dropped is gold, because I could have used that this week and it probably would have changed the entire context of this very green question that at the end of the day is not going to be helpful to her business or ours.
I think you can also, this has happened to me with one of my clients in the agencies too, is that and this changed the way I run the whole agency. Since then, this was years ago. But the normal way of running an agency used to be, or still is in many cases, where client tells you, get me this ROAS, get me a 3x ROAS, or get me a 5x ROAS. And then the agency's like, okay, I'm going to get you the ROAS. First of all, in platform ROAS is ripe for, what's the right word? Is like, it's ripe to show what's not real. Number one, like you think about Google, you can get a much higher ROAS on a branded search than on a cold prospecting ad, right? So if you have to hit a certain ROAS, you're going to go after traffic that already exists, or it's like remarketing, view through, all that type of stuff. The question, and so back to this client, they gave me this ROAS target. 6 months later, they fire their CFO because it turns out the business was losing money the whole time, even though we thought we were making money. Ever since then, a company gives me a relative target, and I ask them, why is this your target? It's so simple. And a lot of times they don't have an answer. They have no idea why, because that's just what people do. People want a 3x or people want a 5x. But if you're not looking at what's your margin, what's your overhead, how much are you looking to grow? Are you looking to take profit? Because if you're looking to grow, you can't take as much profit. You have to reinvest that back into more ad spend. If you care about getting from 0 to 100 miles an hour fast, you're not going to take profit. But if this is a lifestyle business for you, it's like, hey, grow, but at a minimum, I need to take this much cash off the table every single month. Now I know exactly what you want, and I'll build your marketing strategy to give that to you because that's what you want. So asking more questions, I think, regardless of the business that you're in, if you're Don Julio or a home contractor or an agency, just keep asking more questions until you get people to answer their true desires.
I love it. I think if there's anything to be taken from today's conversation, I think this is one of our more robust conversations when it comes to tactics. Um, and the one that's sticking with me is that one right there. Because again, like it changed the whole dynamic of the conversation you were having with your client. That would have changed the whole dynamic of the conversation I was having with my client. And I'm going to go back to her and ask her, hey, we got this report for you, but why? What are you going to do with it? What are you, or just why? How is it going to help you? And then go from there. Go from there.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and you could be right about, some people just like to show reports because it's doing something. So she might give you a kind of a BS answer. And
Home services, bro. It's like I had a meeting with somebody earlier. Andrew Pincock from Driven. Love Andrew. Shout out to Andrew. We were talking about some BJJ stuff, and the BJJ practitioners, the guys who own gyms, remind me a lot of our of the home service guys. These guys are just operators. You're good at HVAC, you're good at plumbing. You decide to open a business, you're a terrible business runner. Same thing. You're good at jujitsu, good at teaching it. You're a terrible businessman, right? And so these people end up running businesses. They hire, in the case of the home services, this business person doesn't know what they're doing. They hire this marketing person who doesn't know what they're doing. This person needs to act like they know what they're doing, and this person needs to act like he knows what he's doing or she knows. So it's rampant in that community.
yeah, yeah. Well, I gotta be honest, and that's happened to me too, man. It's like I think it's just we just learn that way sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.